Life. New way of life. TV and talk radio is where to go. Best thing going is our TV show. Big Rich, Crystal Love, Yara and Dr. Renee. We had the information, we give it away. Every week we bring the truth in the TV and radio booth. New way of life. TV, new way of life. TV, feel the power by the lip. TV network.
Boy, you can't relate. I think you don't know them. Right, you can't relate. And I was like, when did it come to races? And so when you look at, and it was some things questionable. You know, did they do it to be popular? You look at, he sent his plane to National Bell. You know, Central Park 5. The Ellis Island Award he received. You know, he was welcome everywhere.
All the Democrats.
Yeah.
He was tight with them. Even Jesse Jackson.
And it seemed like the people, as I say, the power was always people surrounding him. You know, chapter 5. Barack Obama was in Clinton was in what's that old word? Predilection to legal. You know, Clinton, Obama. So we come right in line. Oh,
Talk radio, hosted by me, yours truly, Big Rich, Fishbowl Radio Network. We come to you every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. Say, y'all heard that old saying? That's what y'all always done. We'll keep getting what y'all always get. We'll keep listening to that old stuff. We have a very informative show.
He joked about it.
Oh, he said it played out. You know?
So I can stand in front of you and
All right, shoot somebody. I love the uneducated.
and I won't lose the same. They might actually and then you exactly in our way to use
And I don't think, you know, like everybody else, is that smart.
Oh, the machine.
Yeah, the whole machine.
Oh, he's a pawn.
He's
He's a useful idiot.
Yeah. Yeah. So and that's what
you have to understand all that stuff. You have to really understand the background. You know, the whole thing. It's a whole international thing. And so it's not just
and people don't understand.
good and hard.
You making the money. I'm benefiting. Oh, everybody see you make hundreds of millions, but what you making, I'm making the bid.
I was gonna say nothing up here.
Dr. Rubel can come and mess with you because I got people, you know, and that's what it is. All right, we're back. This is your man Big Rich. Say y'all, we're live on TikTok, we're live on YouTube, the Well Light TV and Talk Radio on YouTube, we're live on Facebook. All right, we're gonna get back into it. Before we left, I was asking the question. All right, how do we solve that problem? How do we solve the problem of being an educator, being hey, let me stop operating out of self-centered because what Dr. Bell is going to do, what Tanya is going to do, but it's going to benefit. It may not benefit me directly, but it's going to benefit my community.
Right.
But since I don't have a dog in the fight, forget what you're talking about. So forget what you're talking about. You're a black woman, right? Yeah. So how do y'all overcome that? How do we overcome that?
Like Dr. Rubel said, I think that's the candidate's job. I don't think that the candidates have done a good enough job of grassroots campaigning, meeting people where they are, coming to where they are and explaining. Like he said, we all talked about Project 2025, and I'll be the first to admit, sometimes it tells me I get lengthy, but I get lengthy, and then maybe some people are not able to receive that information the way that I want them to receive that information. So I know I went down a lot of the things that are page so and so on Project 2025. Let me put the attachment up here so you can see it. This is what they're going to do and everything they've started doing. But now you have to remix that, and I need to take that to you. If I go to somebody sitting under the tree, right,
Mhm.
and having a sip, I can't just say, "Do you know that in Project 2025 they said they're going to do this and that to veterans?" And they're like, "What is Project 2025? What are you
Right,
talking
right,
about?"
Right.
So now I need to come back and I need to be able to qualify what I'm saying. You know, actually, this is what they're doing. They're saying that they're going to do this and it's going to affect your benefits.
Mhm.
You're not going to be able to get this in the way that you've been getting it, or you
Right.
put your life on the line and you thought you were going to get it this way,
Mhm.
and it's going to be gone. And then you got their attention. They're going to be like, they're going to do what?
Mhm.
We have to be able to reframe this information, and we have to be able to give it to the people, as you said, meet them where they are and give it to them in a way that they can receive it. We have to make it personal.
Right.
So like in your scenario, when you said you don't have a dog in the fight, it doesn't affect you directly. And a lot of times that's what we think. But
Mhm.
now if I come back and tell you, well, if this happens and then that happens
Right.
and then this happens,
Right.
that's going to affect you. And you're like, well, wait a minute, I thought you were only talking about this group over here. Yeah, but when these 3 dominoes fall, then it's going to come to you. Let's talk about, like I tell people all the time about Social Security. They had that in Project 2025 as well. They are going to try to cut Social Security because they're saying it's insolvent. The account is insolvent. Nobody believes it. They'll never do that. That won't happen. Now we see they're already working on passing something,
Mhm.
removing the SSI portion of it.
I was gonna say, I'm a huge sports fan. I grew up a Cowboys fan all my life. And
DC foil.
it always amazes me, Rich, how when I talk to my daughter, that generation,
Mhm.
and she has no idea how great the Cowboys were,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
They
They
I won't
sucked
say
their whole
suck, but
Mhm.
they've been bad and struggled her whole life, right?
They won the last Super Bowl when my 31-year-old was being born.
She has no idea, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I just assume that because I've been a Cowboy fan,
Right.
my dad, my grand, that she would be a Cowboy
Yeah.
fan, or she would know about the
Right.
Cowboys. This just no, the same thing with voting.
Right.
You just assume. Don't you know about the Civil
Right.
Rights Act?
Mhm.
Don't you know about the struggle that we had? Don't you know how blessed we are?
Right.
How far we've come?
Right.
They've taken this democracy. They've taken this gift that our ancestors have given them, and they take it for granted. And it's not something uniquely associated with the Black community.
No.
All the young kids, they're like the Americans. You know, we ride on that interstate highway that Dwight Eisenhower had built,
Yep.
that we
Right.
take for granted and is being slowly deteriorating, and we're not doing any upkeep with it.
Mhm.
Our airports, our train system, all these wonderful
Right.
things that the greatest generation had provided for us, we all take for granted now.
Mhm.
And so we assume that they value this as much as we do.
Right.
We assume that they value democracy as much as we do. They don't. And we have to take, like Tanya said, we have to reform and change the conversation and meet them at their level, and then try to relate these issues to them.
Mhm.
That's the challenge. It's not so much an educated voter, it's an educated candidate.
Mhm.
It's an educated party
Mhm.
that has the ability, the capacity to reach voters. And I love this parable. You know, remember when Christ is on the cross,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And the thief turns to him and says, "Lord, remember me."
Mhm.
How many camp meetings did that thief go to?
Mhm.
How many literatures did he go? How many times when he was in church? None of that,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Right? But Christ met him
Mhm.
where he was,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? And that's what we got to remember. It's not all these layers that we think we have to put on,
Mhm.
right? We have to break down to the simplest message. Ask any mega supporter, what's Trump's policy on turning the economy around? Drill, baby, drill.
Mhm.
Mhm.
What is he going to do about groceries? Drill, baby, drill.
Mhm.
There's no deep policy there. It's an emotional connection, and that's what Tanya's talking about. It's not the voters' fault. It's our fault, and we got to change that around. And I'm committed to changing that around.
Right. And you said something, and I know I'm gonna get in trouble. for this. I know I'm gonna get jumped on.
Okay,
for
let's
this.
see.
No, I want all the smoke.
Okay.
Go ahead.
One of the things that I think has specifically hurt our community.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's go to church and pray about it.
Okay, I got a response for that.
Let's go to the church house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we gotta have faith.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what a word.
So that's what I was about to say.
What a word. And we've had now in Dallas, we have a minister, a pastor, that won a congressional seat,
Mhm.
right? From a big church, well-known church here
Mhm.
in Dallas. And we have a lot of big, well-known mega churches
Mhm.
here in Dallas. And the question I had, I was at one Sunday. The question I asked people is, what does your church do for the community?
Mhm.
Right? A lot of these big churches are in suburbs, and people who come from well in Dallas, y'all, Oak Cliff, South Dallas, West Dallas, East Dallas, those neighborhoods now have moved, got jobs, families doing a little better than our parents or whatever.
Mhm.
So now we go to these big, ain't nothing wrong with that, y'all. Don't jump on me about that. I'm not ain't nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
But if you ask the average, man, what church go? I go to big church, such and such.
Mhm.
Well, what do y'all do for the community?
Mhm.
Exactly.
No,
And they
I-
probably couldn't tell you, cause I don't know.
Yeah.
I see them,
Yeah.
So what has
I
the
think
church
I know.
hurt us
Mhm.
or helped us when it comes to our political progression?
Yes.
The church is made up of
People,
flawed people,
right.
flawed human beings.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay. I am a 5th generation 7-day Adventist.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay, SDA. And so used to I go to church on the Sabbath, and all my friends went to church on Sunday, right? Had to be home by sunset on Friday, and all this stuff. So I'm used to being on the outside, right? But my pastor used to love to tell this story about how people think somehow being in the church makes you a certain way.
Mhm.
Never forget, how many years did Peter walk with Christ?
Mhm.
How many years did Judas walk with Christ?
Right.
Right? So being there with Christ all that time and
In person.
in person, seeing all those miracles, and Peter denied him 3 times.
Mhm.
Judas betrayed him,
Mhm.
right? So it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the heart. No doctrine can save you. It's the heart. The church is made of people. Okay, no doctrine, no pastor, no preacher, no reverend, no priest can save you. It is you. It is in you. It's your
Well,
heart.
and that's goes, and I want you to jump in, Tony. And that goes back to one thing. I didn't get the education in school. My mother, I'm sure all our mothers, did the best on the information they had.
Mhm.
I didn't get it. Well, the only place left for me to learn it was the streets or the church house.
Mhm.
For me, it was the streets.
Yeah.
But I was smart enough or talented enough to say, well, I still need to get over here to this church house.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right? But the streets were calling.
Mhm.
The streets were the misinformation from misinformed people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But say JT with the slant booty Cadillac and the
Right.
jewelry and the girl,
Not the
he
Seville.
was more interesting to listen to than Pastor so and
Not the
so.
Seville, the
Yeah,
Slam
slant booty Seville.
Seville.
Yeah, right. So now we still have to compete with that now. Now it's the bling bling and all
Yeah.
that. But back then,
It was tough.
walking off Orpheus Circle and Keys and Pope,
Yeah.
Mhm.
it was JT with the red slant booty Seville with the girls, nice jewelry, the car, bumping the music. And you want me to walk to the library? And JT got all the information
Mhm.
right here on the corner.
Mhm.
So my mother may have been at work or whatever, but now what? So how do we compete with that?
I think the church and the community has a responsibility, and I'm going to say this, and I say it often. A lot of times, the church has, I think the church has lost its way in the Black church. I'm speaking specifically for the Black church in doing what it did during the Civil Rights Movement. I like to tell everybody all the time, Civil Rights Movement was born in the church. Civil Rights Movement was planned in the church. Civil Rights Movement was won in the church. Those were church members that were out there
Mhm.
working and walking getting the German Shepherds put on them.
Right.
But at some point, this is what happened. Nick and I just talked about it last night, and it was this. All this is by design, because see, you have people that study our success,
Right.
and figure out ways to impede our success.
Undermine it.
Yes, the author of Project 2025 has a PhD in African American Studies. Y'all know that?
Yeah, I read that the other day. I just read that the other
African
day.
American
Yeah.
Studies. So he studied, and he said, "Let me find out what's going on and how I can do something." And so I shared it the other day. Every time we've taken a step forward, the government has implemented something
Yes.
to bring us back. And so in this case, you talk about what can you do? You have the 70s and 80s, right? It's now post Civil War. It is Civil War, but Civil Rights movement. You have the 70s and 80s. You have kids like us. We've never been in segregated situations. Right? We've always been in integrated schools. Okay. But we had the people that's telling us what happened. You have, and then you have, we're semi middle class. Right? We're not doing too bad. We're not rich, but we're not doing too bad.
Right.
So then you have, what's his name with the slant booty?
JT.
JT come up with the slant booty Cadillac on the scene. You've never known any German Shepherds to be let out on
Right.
you. You don't know anything about
Exactly.
any of those other things that happen, and you say, well, dang, you're looking at what the possibilities could be because you've never seen anything else. Okay, so, and I tell my kids all the time, y'all would never have made it in my time, 80s and 90s, man. You had to be on point. You had to know what was going on because it was tough. You had to make decisions on the fly. There have been times where something happened. I was like, man, I had just left there for 30 minutes ago. Somebody died.
Right.
That kind of thing. But you don't have the history. You've only heard about it. And I used to watch Eyes on the Prize all the time. I've seen no Eyes on the Prize. Man, that's sad. I can't believe they went through that. And that was just a generation ago. But still, man, I like this. I want this. And what they did was they used consumerism. They used integration, misused integration, right? To be able to get to us and get us away from the things that matter. And the church allowed it because the church sat back in many cases and they said, we're not going to change the way we do anything. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to update our practices to be able to, times are changing.
Right.
You're not updating anything that you're doing and you're losing. You got JT on the corner and you in here still singing hymns on Friday night and you want people to choose. You want teenagers that see the gold chains and the slam booty Cadillac and all that to choose this instead of coming in and reminding people while we are here that you are here through the blood, sweat, and tears of people that came before you. This is what happened. This is what can happen. We see right now at any moment it could be yanked out from under you. And then let's just be honest, a lot of them got greedy. And so it was not anymore about protecting the community. It was about how much I can get. So I've seen a lot of them. I'm not going to talk about anything political. They don't want to offend certain people
They
because
don't want to mess with their money.
they don't want to mess with their money.
Right.
They don't want to
And
mess with their money.
that's the shame of the situation. And nobody is standing up. Nobody's going to. What is 3 predominant black mega churches down the same street?
Well, you have Friendship West. And
Yeah.
you got,
Well, I won't call it names. You go
Oh,
ahead.
okay,
We want all
I'm
the smoke. Yeah, I know.
let me just say, and the only reason I said that is because they do have an activist pastor.
Right.
He is an activist pastor. I got to give it to him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's an
I know,
activist pastor. When I'm in that room, I am fired up to go, and I know I ain't marching nowhere.
Right.
But when I leave, when I'm in there, I'm like, I'm going to go
Yeah,
march.
yeah.
I'm not going out there marching.
And I was saying the same thing. I'm not gonna say that. I won't go by.
Okay.
I was at a big church yesterday, and I'm gonna tell y'all something. This is the guys on this truth, and I told a couple. I'm in this church, and I'm looking around. I mean, big church, and I looked around. Black church, predominant black church, and you want. 'Cause I was in the church, and I looked around. And I said, man, this is a church. And I looked around. And I said, man, this is a church. And I looked around. And I said, man, this is a church. And I looked around. And I said, man, this is a church. And I looked around. And I said, man, this is a church. And I looked around. And I said, man, this is a church. And I looked around. And I said, man, this is a church. And I looked around. And I said, man, this is a church. And I looked around. And I said, man, this is a church. And I looked around. And I said, man, this is a church. And I looked around. And I said, man, this is a church. And I looked around. And I said, man, this is a church. And I looked around. And I said, man, this is a church. And I looked around. And I said, man, this is a church. And I looked around. And I said, man, this is a ch And I was saying, well, I always keep my business mind on. But you know the only thing I thought about when I was in there?
How much money was in
No, man. Well, that, but in another way, man, we need to open up a beauty supply store.
Because they had a hair fry.
I say, just with the women in here,
Laid to the side.
that's probably $400,000 a year. Just from the women and men, you know, we use it too. But I mean, that's where my mind was. And then I thought about, and I called my brother. My brother said, "Bro, I guess we go to the source and get it. We ain't gonna make no money." Cause this, and I looked up 12 billion.
Mhm.
12 billion a year
Yeah, it's way more.
that we,
Give away.
cause I use my hair products too,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
$12 billion a year.
Mhm.
And then we get treated the way we get treated. Some of it our fault,
Mhm.
some of it perception,
Mhm.
some of it, well, that's like you said, the machine
Mhm.
has been putting that out, right? So, and we say, okay, but that's gonna affect the way I vote.
Mhm.
It's gonna affect the way I vote. Well, why am I voting for this guy? But this guy is closer to what I
want
can, yeah,
what I want.
right? And that's not education, that's just the familiarity,
Mhm.
right? That's not,
That's it, bottom line.
right. So we were sitting there and I was thinking, man, what? Just thinking about school. I never learned anything about voting in school.
Mhm.
Never learned anything about voting in church.
Again, by design.
You know,
Mhm.
except for church officers or something,
Right.
you know,
Right,
you know,
right. Right.
but the most we learned was, you know, high school, voting for class president,
Yeah.
and then we do the campaigns and stuff. But that was it.
And that's why I say I say it all the time. The church needs to, especially the Black church, needs to get involved in training people on these issues because again, this is what they did prior to
Right.
the end of the civil rights movement. That's where they went. Those people were maids and janitors, and you talk about an uneducated voter. It's not the voter's fault. They were maids and janitors and whatever else. They were all people that were in Pullman, all of those people that were working in those types of positions. These were not, and my grandmother was maid, honey, and she was one of the smartest people I know, but not to say that they weren't formally educated, not to say that they weren't smart, but they weren't formally educated. But they still knew how to do the things that our kids cannot do because they had a vehicle that was teaching them those things. So, and you talk about business. Why aren't churches having seminars on financial fitness, on financial literacy? Why aren't they doing that? That is the job of the church, in my opinion. One of the jobs is to make sure holistically that person is good.
And I think those are the two issues. And as you know, we have a lot of clergy on our panel.
Mm-hmm.
And people can't answer the two basic questions. What's the purpose of the church? What's the purpose of the Bible? Why do you believe?
No.
Why do you believe what you believe?
He was in my wheelhouse.
Why do you believe what you believe? Yeah, we were raised, but why do you believe? What's the purpose of the church? The church is there for the community. What's the purpose of the Bible? No, the Bible was written for us, not to us. What was written in the Bible was written for them, not, well, this scripture applied today. No, the principle of it, but no, I'm not David. I'm not Jonah, not Aaron, I'm not Joshua, I'm not Moses. The principles apply in those scriptures,
right.
But I'm not saying I don't want to get jumped on.
No,
I gotta get jumped. No, I'm just saying I don't think we've been taught correctly. If I'd have learned the historical part before I learned the biblical part, would I believe it? If I was historically, right? Historically, because I was going to school and church at the same time, Bible school, vacation Bible school, Sunday. So I'm going to school, right, and learn the Bible. Now, if I learned the historical part first, then the Bible, would I believe?
I think you would.
I think
I think you would. I'm a church kid.
Yeah.
Okay, born and raised in church, generation after generation. And the thing for me is, you don't need a pastor, a reverend, you don't need a priest, you don't need anybody to explain the Bible to you. The
Right.
problem is that people try to take passages from the Bible, scripture, out of context,
Mhm.
right?
Oh, yeah.
To justify their particular
Whatever it
doctrine.
is.
Right.
Okay, the Bible explains itself,
Mm-hmm.
right? It explains itself. You don't need a pastor, preach, or reverend to develop a relationship with Christ. You said, what's the purpose of the church? The purpose of the church is to fellowship with like-minded Christians and believers. That's it. Now, my wife and I will tell you in a minute, you can also lose your soul in the church.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
In the wrong environment.
Right. You work behind the scenes. I worked on. My wife and I were both board members of the church. We've seen some horrible conversations going on about people, things like that. And my wife and I will tell you, Kasha and I will tell you, I don't go to church to lose my soul.
Mhm.
I don't go to church to fight with demons when I got to fight in the street. So
Right.
don't get it twisted.
Right.
Right? The church is there for you to fellowship and to fellowship with like-minded Christians, believers like yourself,
To keep you
right?
encouraged.
To keep you encouraged.
Right.
Mhm.
But you don't need the church for that. I'm gonna keep it real. With
And
you.
I'm of that same mind.
Right.
And go ahead, tell you, because I know.
I know. I believe. And you said some of us have been taught wrong, and I do think
Right.
you have to understand too, especially in our culture, these were not people again who were educated people. I've often told Nick that I want to go to theology school. I want to go to theology school not because I want to preach. I want to go to theology school so I can understand,
Mhm.
Right.
and I want to be able to understand the words and before it was translated
Yeah.
5 or 6 times
Right.
because it has changed its meaning. By the
Right.
time it has gotten over here, that word doesn't mean
Right.
the same thing. If I say see you later and you say deuces
Mhm.
and somebody else says, holla at you,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? It's all
Yeah,
of these
right.
different things that
Right.
mean kind of the same,
Right.
but by the time it gets translated 6 or 7 times, you might have ventured over into something that's offensive or
Right.
something that's totally opposite of
Right.
where it really started. That's why I want to go to theology school. And then further, to see what was going on. There's a lot of context. Like you said, you're not David. But I want to know, what people said women shouldn't preach. Let me see, why would they say that?
Right.
When you're going to see what Timothy, what was going
Yeah.
on, they not, it's not as simple as that statement that people made. Obey the government. That's what a lot of people, you'll hear that often, so that you will, listen to all the mess that they got wrong. Go, Bible says obey the government. You got to know what that meant, what was going on at the time that was said, and you got to understand, like you said, context. People have used the Bible purposely to mislead us.
They have replaced Paul with Christ.
Oh, that's big
All
time.
Right.
And-
They have replaced Paul with Christ.
And that's because
You know,
Tell people about that.
and you said it. I know a lot of people gonna be mad.
What they doing?
The Bible,
Mhm.
in and of itself, has no authority. It's no authority. It only has authority because we give it authority. And like you said, like-minded people. You
Right.
said you Seventh-day Adventist.
Right.
I'm Baptist. If you Methodist, we not gonna agree on some things. And that's religion.
Well,
So so what you saying, I'm be looking at you, man, that ain't how we do it over here.
let me tell you about the 7-day event.
You know.
Okay. 7-day events, we can't keep a pastor.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep it real. We are hard on pastors. You know why?
Yeah.
Because 7-day Adventists read the Bible from cover to cover.
Yeah.
And so I don't need when I tell you we don't. I'm speaking for myself. I don't need a pastor. I don't need a priest interpreting the Bible for me because I read it for myself.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's part of who we are. You talk to not being hard on somebody, but you talk to the Catholics. They don't read the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. They rely on the pastor, the priest to interpret the Bible for them. Some people. When I was growing up, I went to my mom. She had us in church on Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. I went to Wednesday night prayer meeting, went to Sabbath, on Sabbath. church on Sabbath.
Y'all
and those,
slept Sunday in there too?
I went to Sunday with all my friends. Went to church with all my friends.
Oh, you went to church with them.
Yeah, they'll tell you. I went to all my friends went to church with them every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So I, all of it. So I grew up with a healthy skepticism of churches and people like that. So if I read the Bible. So when someone tells me something,
Right.
I know
Me
for a
too.
fact because I read it.
Right.
And I can tell when it comes to me who
You don't know it.
Yeah, I won't get into the first day worship and the 7-day worship.
Right.
That'd be a huge fight. But
And one of the things for me, like you said, I take a more scholarly, have to take a more scholarly approach about when I go to churches and I'm reading out this translation. I'm like, well, there are better translations now. You reading out a translation was old when they translated it. And now there are that a lot of Bible scholars around the world are saying, hey, these are the 3 best translations from original Hebrew, Greek, and people still use it. Because it fits their purpose. It fits their purpose. And so when I hear that, I just sit in church.
Yeah.
Oh, Paul did say that. But Sam, we gotta get out of here. Sam, I knew what was gonna happen when I had y'all on the show.
I enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah.
So I know. So we're gonna get out of here with shout outs and hope shots.
Shout out to my church, over there, Pennywell SDA, Pastor Tony, Engelberg Tony. I know you go, Rubel, what you talking about on here? But I'm just sharing the truth, Pastor. That's all. Don't get mad at me.
You gonna get it. You got shots. You
Yeah.
hope he don't get you.
You know what? My hope shot. I'm hopeful for this election. I hope for our people. It's gonna require work, but I think we're built for this, y'all. There's they come at us all kind of ways, and they're always amazed. Y'all still standing? You still love being Black? Yes. Yes. Despite all of that, because we serve someone that passes the peace that passes all understanding, bro. That's all I got to say.
Right.
I love it.
I'm gonna shout out, since we had this conversation, I'm gonna shout out, I got 2 shout outs. I'm gonna shout out, number 1, to all of the churches that are doing it right. Because there are a lot of churches that are doing it right. I want to shout out to them, those that haven't sold out to money, that haven't sold out, to people that come in offering them things in exchange for suppressing information, in exchange for suppressing, all of this good knowledge. I want to shout out to them, and I want to encourage them to keep doing that. Stay encouraged. I know it's hard sometimes when you're doing the right thing and it seems like you look around and people are excelling in the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to stay encouraged, but I want to encourage them and I want to shout out to them to keep doing that. My hope shot, I said I had 2 shout outs.
Yeah.
My other shout out is to all of the people, the activists out there that are doing the thankless work, because as we said before, you got people, we're spending money, we're spending time, we're spending, energy, and a lot of times to the detriment of something. We only have 24 hours a day.
Right.
So you're putting all of this energy somewhere, something is suffering somewhere else. And so I want to shout out to them. I also want to keep them encouraged. And then I roll into my hope shot. Like you said, Dr. Rubel, I am hopeful that even though there is this campaign of disinformation and misinformation, and that there's so much, purposeful evil right now that is aimed at us and that is really literally targeting us, I'm hopeful that if our grandparents could do it as porters and maids and janitors, all of those, and if they could do it, we can do it with the amount of resources and information that we have.
Right.
And I'm hopeful that we will wake up, because I think a lot of us have been asleep at the wheel. But I'm hopeful that we're going to wake up and that we're going to be able to overcome everything, all of the adversity that's coming towards us.
Right. My shout out is y'all, because when I heard y'all speak on, y'all spending your own time and money. get this done, you know. Hope Shot, it was a partner of mine called me. And I said, man, this is crazy. You called me about this situation. I said, Nick and Tanya Dangerfield doing that show tonight. Everybody should. And he was like, his dad has land in East Texas. His dad passed, so it's his dad's brothers, and he's an Arab. He said, so they want to sell. Her dad got behind on the chat. I said, man, hold on. Let me put you in contact. I said, cause that's what they talk about next. I said, before y'all, man, I don't want to be getting into it with my family and all. I said, bro, whatever decisions you make, but at least talk to her first.
Yeah.
You know, and make. I said, cause she's a realtor, and I always see your posts. People come ask you, did I get a good deal on the house? Well, that's what you need a realtor for. Don't ask down there.
You know, come over trying to ask about something I wasn't involved in.
Right. So, and it just seems like things work out that way for a reason. You know, for a reason, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that. I mean, I have y'all. Yeah, I have y'all, and you know, and I tell people I had a meeting with later that I said, you know, I'm not the boss of anything, and that's so freeing. You know, I tell people all the time, I'm only the last decision on what goes on TV, radio. Other than that, we have a meeting. You know, you can call me about anything. Okay, let's try it. Let's put it out there. Other than that, I'm generally going with the idea anyway, you know, and it's so freeing. And I said that I don't run nothing. I don't run nothing but my mouth, you know, and I try to do that with some education and some patience and tolerance and empathy and compassion, you know, and definitely some honesty and integrity, you know, and that's what we'll do. So we're gonna get out of here, and I'm almost pretty sure I'll see y'all Saturday. This Saturday, we're gonna get some filming done, and we got another. I know y'all gonna be busy, but I'm trying to get y'all back next week, but maybe somewhere else. We got some big announcements to make. And then I think I'm gonna get Sammy, Sirius St. John, Sammy G, Fishbowl Network on. I'm gonna get her on the show because she said she'll come on the show, and the question is, why aren't Hispanics voting for Black candidates? And she said she would love to be a part of that show. So we got the show. So y'all, we're gonna get out of here and say for Dr. Andrew Rebel, Tanya Dangerfield, Big Rich. Y'all know how I do it. Peace.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Big Rich, New Way of Life Talk Radio, hosted by me, yours truly, Big Rich. Say, we're on Fishbowl Radio Network. We're coming to you every
Life. New way of life. TV and talk radio is where the go. Best thing going is our TV show. Big Rich, Crystal Love, Kiara and Dr. Renee. We had the information, we give it away. Every week we bring the truth in the TV and radio booth. New way of life. TV